19 days away from a great victory in the United States of America when Indiana becomes the first state on the board to make Donald Trump the 45th President of the United States of America. You know, here in Indiana, we know that strong Republican leadership works. Different from our neighbors in Illinois, we have balanced budgets. We've cut taxes. We've made record investments in education and roads. And today, there are more Hoosiers going to work than ever before in the 200-year history of the great state of Indiana. That's what Republican leadership gets you. And that's exactly the kind of no-nonsense leadership that Donald Trump is going to bring to the White House this November. You know, after 7.5 years of the failed policies of Barack Obama that have weakened America's place in the world and stifled our nation's economy, we're ready for a change in this state. We're ready to put a fighter, a builder, and a patriot in the Oval Office of the United States of America. We're ready for Donald Trump to be our next president. You know, Donald Trump understands the frustrations and the hopes of the American people like no other American leader in my lifetime since Ronald Reagan. The American people are tired. We're tired of being told. We're tired of being told this is as good as it gets. We're tired of hearing politicians in both political parties tell them that we'll get to it tomorrow while we pile a mountain range of debt on our children and grandchildren. And as Ronald Reagan said so eloquently so many years ago, we're tired of being told that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better for us than we can plan them for ourselves. Donald Trump gets it. Donald Trump hears the voice of the American people. He's been successful on Wall Street, but he's never turned his back on Main Street. He's never forgotten or forsaken the people who work with their hands, who grow the food, build our roads and bridges, tend to our sick, teach our kids, and protect our lives and our property. Donald Trump knows that the boundless potential of the American people awaits, and we can make America great again. So we must come together and elect this good man as our next president. But we must elect this strong leader for one more reason. Because Hillary Clinton must never become President of the United States of America. You know, I heard Bernie Sanders endorse Hillary Clinton today. I actually served in Congress with Bernie Sanders. And let me tell you, he's the nicest socialist I ever served with in Washington, D.C. You know, Hillary and her party have been sliding so far to Bernie's leftist agenda, it's hard to keep track of it. The truth of the matter is that I just have to tell you from my heart, after looking at the direction that their party has gone, farther and farther to the left, to paraphrase the director of the FBI, I think it would be extremely careless to elect Hillary Clinton as the next president of the United States. You know, we don't need a president who sees Obamacare as just a good start. We don't need a president who promises to put coal miners out of work and raise the utility rates of hardworking Americans. And as the proud father of a United States Marine, let me say from my heart, we don't need a president who took 13 hours to send help to Americans under fire and after 4 brave Americans fell, said, what difference at this point does it make? Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever being Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. So let me say, for the sake of our troops who deserve a Commander-in-Chief who will have their back, for the sake of hardworking Americans and businesses who deserve a president who will get Washington, D.C. off their back, and for the sake of a Supreme Court that will never turn its back on the God-given liberties of the American people, let us resolve here and now that from this day forward we will unite, we will stand together, we will not rest, we will not relent until we make this good man our next president. My fellow Hoosiers, I give you the next president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, let's turn that music down. We want to get to business, right? Get to business. How's your governor doing, by the way? Good? I think so. I think so. I just want to thank all of the people of Indiana. You know, we had a great victory here not so long ago, and Indiana was the state that put me over the top. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Well, we have a lot of things to discuss, but we had some very bad news a few days ago, and you saw what happened. A lot of bad things are happening. And I was going to go through a whole litany of that, but we don't want to. We want to be upbeat. We want to be positive. We want to be strong. And we're going to be strong. We're going to be stronger than ever before. We're going to be greater than ever before. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring our military back. It's being depleted so badly. We're going to take care of our veterans, which we have to take care of. We're going to get rid of Obamacare, which is a disaster, and replace it with something terrific. We end Common Core. We bring our education back to the local communities, like this local community, where the people love their children and they want to see their children be well educated. So important. We're going to save our Second Amendment. We're going to save our Second Amendment. And it's under siege. You know, I wrote a few words today, and I think it's important that we go through it as a group. It's been a special place, and you're special people, and I know so many people tonight in the audience. And you're all over. Look at all those cameras up there, folks. Look at all those cameras. They don't stop. They don't stop. But I just wanted to say, I wrote this quickly, but it means it came right from the heart. And I have to say that our whole nation grieves and mourns for the loss of 5 heroes in Dallas, law enforcement. These were great, great people. Great people. We pray for their families. We pray for their loved ones. We pray for all the wounded survivors. We pray for our country. So important. The police are not just part of our society. Our police are the best of our society. Remember that. We have to remember that. They represent our highest ideals, our greatest values, and our most noble characteristics. When our police are attacked, our entire nation is attacked. Remember that. Remember that. So the message must be delivered clearly for all to hear. The hostility against our police has to end, and it has to end right now. And we have to stay together, and we have to be strong. We have to take care of everyone. The 2 people that were killed in Louisiana and Minnesota, it was tough. It was tough to watch. For everybody here, it was tough to watch. We have to figure it out. We have to figure out what's going on. Was it training? Was it something else? It could have been something else. We have to take care of everybody. Remember that. But we have to get to the bottom of things. We have to. But we can never, ever forget the hundreds of thousands of great deals and great things that our police all over the country do, and nobody recognizes them for what they do. And when there's a problem, as bad as these 2 situations were, and I personally think they were They were bad. I hated watching it. But as bad as they were, they get broadcast all over the world for days and days, and all of the good things, which are magnified thousands of times, nobody talks about. So we have to remember, we have to cherish and take care of our police. If we don't, we don't have a country anymore. We have a country in chaos. And remember this, and I say it once, and I say it with love, and I say it with compassion, because I have love for our country, and I have great compassion for our people in our country. But I am the law and order candidate. We need law and order, and we need strength in this country. We don't have strength in our country. We have crooked Hillary Clinton, as crooked as you get. I mean, you saw that with the emails. It's a rigged system, folks. It's a rigged system. Just remember it. It's a rigged system. It's rigged in so many different ways. We're going to straighten it out. You can't even watch what happens. We had a young man who did nothing by comparison to what she did, and he warned his friends of a problem that was coming militarily, and they came down on him with a vengeance, and they let her go. 33,000 missing emails. They let her go. Lies all over the place, and they let her go. Think of it. It's a disgrace. So we're going to get on to other subjects, but I have to say, law enforcement has to remain with us. We have to take care of our police and our law enforcement officials. We're going to do it. We're going to continue to do it. We're going to remember that they do a fabulous job. We're going to remember they do a great job. And every once in a while, problems will happen. And we're going to take care of those problems. And they can be bad problems. But we are going to treat our police with respect. Remember that, okay? Now, I'm looking at different rates and different crimes, and you see the crime rate in large portions of our country is going way up. You look at certain inner cities and look at Chicago. Look at what's going on. Since President Obama became president, almost 5,000 killings in Chicago. And nobody talks about it. Well, we're going to start talking about it because we have to make this a safe country. And you know, I would say 2 weeks ago, a month ago, I wouldn't be saying these words. I was talking about the border. And I was talking about the wall, and we will build the wall. That I can tell you. I can tell you. Oh, we're going to build the wall. Don't worry about it. Are you ready? Who is going to pay for the wall? I don't hear you. Who's going to pay for the wall? And they will. Very much. They will. 100%. And you know what? They'll be happy to pay for the wall. We have a trade deficit with Mexico that you wouldn't believe. Billions and billions and billions of dollars a year. We're losing on the border. We're losing on trade. And when I was in the debates, and I'd mentioned this, people would come up that I was debating against. And they used to say, Donald, you're not really going to build a wall, are you? I say, absolutely. They say, but you can't build a wall. But I'm in the construction. You know how easy a wall is? A wall. We build 95-story buildings with bathrooms. That's tough construction, not a wall. Walls don't have bathrooms, and bathrooms are always tough. But we're going to have a very big, beautiful gate in that wall. Big and beautiful. And that gate's going to be open, and it's going to be wide open for people to come into our country, but they're going to come into our country legally. They're going to come in legally. And they're going to be people that love our country. They're not going to be people that hate our country. They're not going to be people that we don't know where they come from. They're not going to be people that come from the migration that don't have paperwork, that don't have passports, that we have no idea where they're from. We have no idea what their motives are. We're going to say, no, sorry, no, and we'll help. And in Syria, we'll build safe zones, and we'll get other people to put up the money, because we are going to owe very soon 20 trillion with a T. Nobody even knows what it means. We're going to own right now, can you believe this? $20 trillion. Soon going to $21 trillion. So we're going to get the Gulf states, who have so much money, folks, so much money, and we're going to get them to put up the money and others. And we're going to take care of people, and we're going to have compassion. But we can't allow them to come into our country. We have enough problems right now. You see what happened in Orlando. You see what happened in San Bernardino. We can't allow it to happen. So we're going to build safe zones. We're going to take care of people. We're going to have other people fund these safe zones. We're going to build up our military. We should have never been in Iraq. But once we went into Iraq, we should have never left the way we left. We left like fools. We went in, should have never happened. I didn't want to go from the beginning, and I have proof from the beginning. I didn't want Iraq. I said, you're going to destabilize the entire Middle East, and that's exactly what happened. But then we were there, losing thousands of lives, spending trillions and trillions of dollars. Probably in the Middle East, we're up to $4 trillion. And we're in worse shape now than we were 15 years ago before the whole deal started. Far worse, not even close. Far worse, far worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to start thinking smart. We're going to be smart again. We're going to make great military. And by the way, I said for years, we've got to keep the oil. I said, keep the oil. You leave, you keep the oil. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. I said it for years. Once we were in, I said, when we get out, it's going to be a disaster. But when we get out, we should have left some troops there. And I hate saying that, but we should have left some troops there. And it would have been better, certainly, than it is right now. Can't be any worse. But I always said, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil. So who has the oil right now? A lot of the oil is had by ISIS. And we created ISIS. And Hillary Clinton, through her incompetence, directly and indirectly created ISIS. And now she wants to get rid of it. She says, yes, we will fight ISIS. She's the one that created it. With stupidity. With stupid policy. Policy that's only going to get worse. She is the one that created it. And that's what's happened. And so now we have problems all over the place. We have our cities exploding. We have ISIS looking at us. And by the way, when our enemies all over the world, including our friends all over the world, look at what's happening to our country, where the other night you had 11, think of it, 11 cities potentially in a blow-up stage. Marches all over the United States. And tough marches. Anger. Hatred. Started by a maniac that some people asked for a moment of silence for him. For the killer. Okay? So when our enemies look at what's going on with our country, They see our deficits. They see we don't win anymore. We don't win. We don't win. We don't win at anything. I always say when I was young, going to high school and going to college, and before then, we never lost. You know, United States, they said, had never lost a war. Now we never win. We don't win on trade. We don't win with our military. Our military is so depleted. Our military has fighter jets that are in use, flown by great American people that are so old, and they can't get parts for the fighter jets. These are people flying these jets now in combat. They can't get parts, so they go to the plane graveyards in the deserts. They go to museums where they have similar planes, and they strip the planes of parts to use for our fighter pilots to fly. This is what we've been reduced to. And I'll tell you something. Hillary Clinton is incompetent, okay? The greatest single thing, in my opinion, that she's ever done is to get out of the email problem. I think it's incredible. She did a great job on that. I think it's her greatest achievement. I think when they look back on Hillary Clinton, they will say the greatest achievement of Hillary Clinton was getting out of this problem with emails. Nobody could have gotten. Houdini couldn't have gotten out. She was so guilty. I have a list. Look, page after page of the lies. Page after page, the lies. All over. Look at this. Page. Look, I don't want to read it to you. The press would say you should spend your entire speech talking about Hillary Clinton and the emails. I don't want to talk about it. You know what? It was all lies, folks. I don't have to go through and bore everybody. It was so horrible. It was so disgusting. It was so outrageous. You look at General Petraeus. Look what happened to him for a tiny fraction of what crooked Hillary did. You look at other people for a tiny fraction. Look at what happened to them. So I just tell you this. We have a candidate on the other side who, if she ever gets elected, it will be 4 more disgusting years of Obama. It will be 4 more years of weakness. It'll be 4 more years of civil unrest. It will be 4 more years of not winning with our military and not winning against ISIS. They don't have a clue how to beat ISIS. They don't have a clue. But it'll be 4 more years of Obama and Obamacare and all of these things that don't work. Except I think actually it will be worse. Today I see Bernie Sanders gave her this very, sort of strange endorsement. I want to tell you, a lot of Bernie Sanders people are so upset about it, they're going to be voting for Trump. I really believe that. They're going to be voting for Trump. They're going to be voting for Trump because the one thing that Bernie Sanders and I have in common was trade. Now, he can't do anything about it. He just knew it was bad. I know how to fix it. Because I am in favor of free trade. A lot of people say I'm an isolationist. Okay? Of course, when you're losing $800 billion a year on trade deficits, maybe that's not the worst thing. But we're going to straighten it out. I believe in open borders for trade. I believe in free trade. The problem we have is that virtually every single country that deals with us are far sharper and far better. They have their best negotiators. We have people that are political hacks negotiating for us. We have people that don't know what they're doing. I have the greatest businessmen in the world that have endorsed me, including people like Carl Icahn, great businessman. We have some of the greatest negotiators, maybe the greatest negotiators in the world. We don't use them. We use political hacks. We have people in there that got in for politics. You can look at the biggest companies in the world, and it's small potatoes. It's peanuts compared to some of these massive trade deals. And we have people that should never be negotiating trade deals. Just like we have Secretary of State Kerry negotiating with Iran, and what they did to him and you, because he has no idea what the hell he was doing and what he gave away. Israel is in serious jeopardy. Frankly, we're in serious jeopardy, and we made a power out of Iran. We made a power. Number one, we should have never gone in and negotiated that deal until we got our hostages back. Ever. Ever. We should have never, ever gone in. And what you say is, folks, we have to get them back. And if you don't want to give them back, you leave the meeting. You leave the meeting and you double up your sanctions. You would have had them back within 24 hours. I guarantee you that. But we didn't do that. We never left any meeting. I kept waiting for the whole delegation. I kept waiting for them to leave, to get up and leave. I used to say, get up and leave. Perfect. Get up. We didn't win anything. The only time that Kerry left was at 73 years old to go into a bicycle race where he fell and broke his leg, right? And I always tell people, I promise you, I will never enter a bicycle race when I'm in the midst of an important nuclear negotiation. I promise. I promise. But when you look at it, number one, we should have gotten them back. And the other thing, we should have never given them back the $150 billion. And I would have said very nicely, my father used to think I was a little bit rough. And he used to go, easy, son. Son, take it nice and easy. You got to take the lumps out. He had an expression, good father. We all had great fathers, I hope. I had a good father. But I learned a lot. He said, and he'd go like this with his hand. He said, you got to take the lumps out. Take the lumps. Easy. Nice and easy. Take the lumps out. You're a little too rough. What do you mean, Pop? You're a little too rough. And over the years, I think I've learned that. Made great deals. Built a great company. Great company. Took advantage of every single thing you can because you're working for yourself. You're working for your family. You're working for your employees. You're working for... Took advantage of every law. Some of these are the dumbest laws I've ever seen. Some of these laws are so stupid, but, you know, you take advantage of them. You're like a business person, right? Got to take advantage of them because you're really representing your employees, your company, your family. But my father would say, take the lumps out. So here's what I would have said on the 150. In the old days, when I was young, I'd say, we're not paying you back the $150 billion. You're not getting it. And there'd be a lot of hard feeling, right, in the room. You know, it'd take a while. They'd still come back. Don't worry about it. Because they need us. They need us. And then I would have left, and he'll go with the sanctions. I would have done two things. Number one, hostages before we start uttering the first word. But number two, and how long were those hostages there? That negotiation took forever. And we didn't win a point. We lost everything. They're going to be a nuclear power. They're rich. They're powerful. How about Yemen? They're fighting on the other side of Yemen. We're fighting. They're fighting. I said, why didn't they make the deal to get out of Yemen? And Kerry said, because he didn't want to complicate the negotiations. Give me a break. Now, can you believe we're fighting each other? We're talking about one thing. They don't want to bring something else. It's too complicated. These are amateurs. But my father would say, take the lumps out. So here's what I would have said. Number one, we'd now be negotiating because our prisoners would have been back years ago. Years ago. I would have said, fellas, look, here's the story. Here's the story. We have a problem. Our country's flat broke. We owe $19 trillion, going to be 20 now with the omnibus budget, going to be $21 trillion very soon. I want to give you the money back. I really do. We don't have it, I'm sorry. They would have gone nuts. They would have said, what do you mean you got to give us the money? I would have said, no, we want to. We don't have it. I want to so badly. We love you. You're such great people, such nice people, so kind. Take a look at what they do to their hostages and their prisoners. You'll find out about tough people. Great negotiators. Persians, great negotiators. I would have said, remember, nice and easy. I would have rather done it my way, but I respected my father. So I would have said, we don't have the money, can't do it. They would have left, we would have left. We would have been back in 2 weeks, okay? We would have saved $150 billion. So those two things. We would have had our hostages back. We would have saved $150 billion, Now they're so rich. They're buying airliners. They're buying everything. They're buying probably nuclear weapons. We just don't know about it, okay? What the hell do they have to do nuclear weapons? You know, we're worried about them making nuclear weapons. They'll buy them. They've got the money. They made such fools out of us. Folks, those days are over. They're over. They're over. I call Obama the 5-for-1 president. So we have a traitor named Sergeant Bergdahl. So Sergeant Bergdahl thinks he likes their way of life, obviously. Oh, they have a wonderful way of life. So one day he leaves. We lose 5 and maybe 6, but 5 at least people looking for him. They were killed. They were killed by the enemy. They go out there looking for him. They knew he left. Everybody with him knew he left because he was all whacked out and a believer in them, not us. So they knew he left. So knowing that, in fact, they had a colonel and I believe a general talking to the people that knew him. And they told the colonel and the general that he left. He deserted. Remember the old days, a deserter, what happened? Bang. 20 years ago, it was bang, but slowly. 10 years ago, it was long prison. Today, they're probably talking about nothing. That's where we've come. But I call him the 5-for-1. So we get Bergdahl, right? A traitor. They get 5 of the most vicious killers that they have, that they've been after for 9 years, to get them out. And they bring them and they're back on the battlefield trying to kill everybody, including us. This stuff is going to stop, folks. And Gitmo, we're not closing Gitmo. We're going to fill it up. We're not closing Gitmo. We're not closing Gitmo. And I see Hillary Clinton said, I do not like Donald Trump's tone. Look, here's the story. I think I have a great temperament. She uses the word temperament, but I loved when she used the word tone. I do not like Donald Trump's tone. They're chopping off heads of Christians and anybody else that gets in their way, chopping heads off. We haven't seen that since medieval times, right? You read the history books. They chopped off heads. Well, they're chopping off heads. They're drowning people in steel cages by the dozens at a time. And she says, we don't like his tone. Let me tell you, folks, it's time for a tough tone. We've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough. So we're going to do things the smart way. I remember during the debate, they asked one of the folks on the debate stage, who's becoming friendlier and friendlier by the day with me, which some of the people are recovering. It was, I'll tell you what, they say it was the nastiest primary that anybody has seen. They say the nastiest in recorded history. Who knew what went on before recorded? But it was pretty nasty. And some of the folks, I saw one yesterday, I will not even mention names because I want to be friends with everybody, right? I'm going to be friends with, except for the real enemy. But they'll sign a document, right? It's called the pledge. I pledge, I swear I pledge that if I don't make it, I'm going to support the nominee of the party. It doesn't say subject to change, subject to the weather, subject to the sun doesn't come up. No, it said, I pledge. And for that pledge, they got access to millions of dollars worth of material from the Republican National Committee, the RNC. Reince Priebus, a great guy. By the way, great guy. He's doing a great job. Got to tell you. Reince Priebus, doing a great job. And if he wasn't, I tell you. And if he doesn't over the next 4 or 5 weeks, I'll tell you, but he is. He's a good man. And his whole staff is doing a great job. But they got access. So they signed a pledge that they will support. Now, I don't want their support. It won't mean one vote other than perhaps their family. It doesn't mean anything. But I signed the pledge too, and everybody wanted to sign the pledge. And the reason they signed the pledge was to get me to sign it. I signed it. I would have honored it. I just say people should honor pledges. People should honor documents when they sign them. You know, not a big deal. Not a big deal, but they should honor. So here's the story, folks. We're losing our country. We're like a piece of Swiss cheese at the borders. That's going to end. You know, the Border Patrol agents, 16,500, first time in history that they did this. They've never done this before. 16,500 Border Patrol agents have endorsed Donald Trump. They know better than anybody what's going on at the border. And by the way, if and when we win, it's we. I'm just a messenger, folks. I'm telling a message of common sense. I'm telling a message of strength. But I'm your messenger. And I'm doing a good job as a messenger. I mean, you know, in all fairness. But 16,500 Border Patrol agents endorsed Donald Trump. If they didn't, their job's much easier. What they do now is they stand there, beautiful equipment, great people. People walk right by them. That's an easy job. They can't stand it because they don't like what's coming into our country. They want to do their job. With me, they're going to be working really hard. And I said to them when they called me to tell me about the endorsement, never done it before. They've never endorsed a presidential candidate before. 16,500 great, great people. And I said to them, so let me tell you, I want to ask you this question. How important is the wall? They said, Mr. Trump, the wall is vital. I don't know what I would have done if they said it's not important. I would have had to say, I guess we're not building it because I respect these people. They know better than anybody. They know a hell of a lot better than the consultants and all these people that are making millions of dollars that don't have a clue. Who's better at that? I said, how important is the wall? Mr. Trump, never forget the answer. The wall is vital. It's vital. Very important. Very important. They actually said it's a tool toward real security, an important tool. And then I spoke with Sheriff Joe Arpaio from Arizona, and he called me out of the blue, and I've read about Sheriff Joe. I mean, he knows borders, right? Amazing guy. Tough guy, but he's an amazing guy. And he said, Mr. Trump, I just want you to know that I'm endorsing you because you know more about this stuff than anybody. You know more about this stuff than people doing it for 25 years. You get it. You know what's happening. I'm endorsing you. And he's actually a quality person. He's a tough guy, but he's a quality person. He gets the job done. Amazing. So I know about that. And when it was coming time for the wall, I'll never forget Vicente Fox, your former president, on one of the major networks, used the F-bomb. Remember it? I told the story a couple of times. He said, we will not pay for the F-bomb wall. I said, oh, he's dead. Hey, can you imagine? It's going to be headlines tomorrow. He used it on live television. I said, oh, I feel so badly for the guy. Now, in one way, I was happy because he used to say, we'll never build the wall. Now he's saying we'll never pay for the wall. So we made a lot of progress. At least he's now admitting it's going to get built. Right? And he seemed like a nice guy, but he got a little bit rough. We will never pay for the F-bomb wall. I said, oh, the poor guy, he's going to get killed tomorrow in the papers. Nobody mentioned it. Can you imagine if I threw out the F-bomb? I think it would be the electric chair, right? Would it be electric chair? Now, the press, I have to tell you, those people back there, I will tell you this. Not all of them, but many of them, are the most dishonest human beings on earth. They are the most dishonest human beings on earth. I've had days that are so good, and then you wake up the next morning and you say, man, did they take that? I won't even say what things, I could go one after another. And we don't make a lot of mistakes, all of us. We don't make mistakes. But what they do is they'll take a sentence and they'll make it much different than what you said, much different from what you meant. And all of a sudden, they'll say, Donald Trump had a bad week because he said something perfect. Perfect. Okay? Perfect. I'm telling you, folks, and I tell it all the time, because as a Republican and as a Republican conservative, we are at a tremendous disadvantage. You look at the way they treat crooked Hillary. You take a look at this compared to the way they treat other people or the way they treat me. They are some of the worst human beings on earth. I really mean it. I really mean it. You know, where are my protesters? I want some protesters. You know, look at this room. The governor just said he's never seen a room like this in Indiana with this many people. He's never seen anything like it. Look at this thing. This is where your football team, look at the ceilings. Everything's nice. Let's see, well, my high, you know, I always talk about the wall's going to be real high, but that's really high up there. That's a big one. But they don't see crowds like this. We have crowds like this everywhere, no matter where we go. And every time I go home, my wife said, how was the crowd? And I always say, didn't you see it? They keep those cameras on my face. They never take the cameras off my face because they don't want people. I wish they'd turn those cameras over here. Take a look at this crowd. Take a look at this crowd. Look, the cameras aren't moving. They're really dishonest. I really mean this. They are so dishonest. That's why I love my protesters, because the only time they move the cameras are when we have a protest. If somebody were up there screaming or shouting, the cameras, which I used to think were in a fixed position, I said maybe mechanically they can't move. But when we have a protester, they turn and they're like a pretzel all over the wah. Through the cameraman's legs, up around his ankles. You never saw cameras move like this. The fact is that you have to know what you're getting. And the system is wonderful in many ways, but really bad in others. And one of the worst aspects of our system is the dishonest press. The dishonest media. It's one of the worst things. I really mean it. They write and say things that are disgraceful. So, and I like to say, you know why? Because when people see things or read things or hear things, they'll say, I'll tell you what, one of the most incredible, people said, what have you learned? I said, you know what I've learned? How smart the people are. Because their rating is so low, they're so thought of so badly, it's like how smart the people were. And I'll say this, various anchors, some of whom truly dislike Donald Trump, have said, what's happened to us, I'm messenger, you're the important ones in this whole thing. But what happened to us is one of the greatest political phenomena they've ever seen in this country, in the history of the country. I didn't even know that. Bill O'Reilly, of course, I'm on his show tonight, so if you get home, you'll see the second edition. But Bill O'Reilly said, the single greatest political phenomena that he's seen in his lifetime. Now, he's a pro, smart guy, tough. But the single greatest political phenomena that he's seen in his lifetime is Donald Trump and all of us, the whole thing. We've been on the cover of Time magazine. So much it becomes routine. In fact, they just told me, Mr. Trump, sir, you're on the cover of Time magazine again this week. I said, all right. You know, in the old days, I'd say, wow, that's a big deal. Now it's like, really? That's good. That's all right. You're on the cover of Time magazine. I'm not on the cover of Time magazine. You're on the cover. Just remember that. So we have a lot of things that are taking place. We have a bad enemy. We have an enemy that's dishonest. We have a press that's dishonest. We have a group of people that want to get elected who have a rigged system and who have really rigged the system to a large extent. They've really rigged the system. I mean, say what you want about Bernie Sanders, but those superdelegates, that was worse than what happened with us. And frankly, the only reason I could win is we won in such landslides all over the place, including Indiana. What a landslide that was. And we love Bobby Knight. Do we love Bobby Knight? Oh, that Bobby Knight. I love my Bobby Knight. We had so many coaches, Gene and Digger and Bobby, and we had so many coaches, Lou Holtz. We had so many coaches that came out in our favor. I do well with coaches, I'll tell you. But the coaches like me. But Bobby was out here working really hard, and I could see it right at the beginning. This was going to be the watershed. We weren't going to. But Bobby came out, and I came out, and we went to arenas. You've never seen so many people. A lot of you were at those arenas. But it's been amazing. So here's the story, folks. We've got to stop 4 more years of Obama. We've got to stop Hillary Clinton, who's as crooked as they come. We've got to bring our country back. We have to make great trade deals again. We're going to make deals that bring our jobs back. And we're going to get along great with these countries. And we're going to trade with these countries. I am not an isolationist. I'm a free trader. But I'm a free trader to make great deals, not to make horrible deals. One of the people standing right there said to me, "Mr. Trump, are you an isolationist?" And Mr. Trump, I said, "No." He says, "Mr. Trump, well, what's your definition of trade?" He says, "Very simple. Very simple. I know free, I know fair, I know every form of trade known to mankind, okay? Here's my definition of trade. My definition of trade is that I want to make great deals for the American people. You can call it whatever the hell you want, okay? And we're going to. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring our manufacturing back. You look at what's happened to the manufacturing since Bill Clinton signed probably the worst deal economically in the history of our country, NAFTA. That deal was signed by Bill Clinton. You look at areas even from here, but you look at places like New England and New York State and Pennsylvania, great state. We're leading in Pennsylvania, by the way. Just came out. I hear we're leading in Florida. I hear we're leading in Ohio. I hear we're leading all over the place. And the Rasmussen poll just came out. We're leading nationally. But we have a long way to go. And we're dealing with a dishonest system. We're dealing with a crooked system. We're dealing with a rigged system. So we got a long way to go, folks. And we don't want anybody to take it away from us. And when this person said to me, by the way, what you've done has never been done before, congratulations. It doesn't even matter if you win or lose the election. What you've done has never been done before, winning all the primaries, beating great professionals, and they're very talented people, beating these. It's never been done before. You'll go down in the history books, Mr. Trump. I said, do me a favor. Don't even tell me about it. Because if I don't win the next one, I will consider it a big, fat waste of time and $55 million I put up. And I'm still putting up a lot more. Now, we raised $51 million last month, and we started toward the middle of the month. And everyone was shocked. And much of that money came in small donations, like $71 average or something like that. And I put up millions, but I did it like I want to incentivize people. I want people to realize I'm raising money for the Republican Party and the RNC. That's what we want to do. Because we want to keep our majority. We want to keep our House. We want to keep our Senate. Because I'll tell you what, if we can do that and we have Trump as president, we are going to be able to do things that are going to be so great for our country. Going to be amazing. You know, we're one of the highest taxed nations in the world. And yet, in going around and meeting with people, small business people, big business people, if they had their chance and if they had their choice, they would rather get rid of rules and regulate. We have the worst regulations anywhere in the world. They actually would rather pay more tax, which is surprising, and get rid of these regulations that are choking everybody. People can't run their businesses. So we're going to turn things around. We're going to turn them around fast. We're not going to lose Carrier air conditioning from Indianapolis. You know that deal very well. Those people have followed me all over the place. 1,400 people out of jobs viciously. They're moving to Mexico. Any of the Carrier folks in this room? Because we have a lot of, look at that. Why are you in the back row? You should be in the front row. But during the season, we had so many of them that follow us around. They felt so badly. We're not going to let that happen. When people and countries take our companies and take our jobs, there are going to be consequences. They're not going to take them because we're not going to let Carrier come in, make air conditioners in Mexico, sell the air conditioners to us across a very strong border now without consequence. And when we explain to the heads of Carrier that here's the story, either stay or if you want to go to Mexico, we wish you a lot of luck. But when you sell your air conditioners, you're going to pay a 35% tax as those air conditioners cross the border. And you know what's going to happen? They're not going to move. They're not going to move. This government was thinking about low-interest loans, zero-interest loans, all sorts of ways how to keep our companies. You don't need that. They don't need money. They're making plenty of money. But we're not going to let them just take our companies out, fire everybody. These are people with Carrier for many, many years. We're not going to let it happen. And we're going to have a country that's so smart again. So here's the story, folks. We don't win anymore. We're going to start winning. We're going to win with our military. We're going to kick the hell out of ISIS. We have to end it. We have no choice. We're going to take care of our vets. So important. Our vets are being treated so badly. I have such great veteran support. We're going to take care of our veterans. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to have the wall. Oh, that wall is going to be as beautiful as a wall can be. Somebody said, Mr. Trump, sir, they're going to call it the Trump wall. I said, well, then I better build it big and beautiful, right? No, I don't want that. But we need great borders. Because without borders, we don't have a country. We're going to make great trade deals. Our jobs are going to come back. We're going to make a lot of money on trade. Right now, we lose all of this money. You look at Japan, the biggest ships you've ever seen floating in. I was in Los Angeles. They float in these massive, massive ships loaded up with cars. And the cars are pouring just like, NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I love Brian France. He endorsed me from NASCAR, right? NASCAR. It's like NASCAR drivers. King Richard endorsed me. A lot of the guys endorsed me. Richard Petty. They come in, they're pouring off these boats. We send them wheat. We send them beef. And when it gets there, they don't even want it. They send it back. You want to see trade imbalance. Take a look at the imbalance we have with Japan. It's going to end, folks. We're going to have smart people now. We're going to make great deals. We're going to make fair deals. We're going to get along great with Japan. We're going to get along we're going to get along better with these countries, and they're going to treat us fairly. And we have all the cards. Just remember that. We're the piggy bank. But they're going to break our piggy bank very soon. But with the piggy bank, they take the money out. We have rebuilt China. The money they've taken out of this country. They have trains that we can only dream about. They have highways that we can only dream about. Places outside of this country in the Middle East, different places, have airports that we can only dream about. We used to be at the top. Now we're like a third world country. So here's what I say. We're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. You're going to be so proud of your country. We're going to win so much. You're going to be so happy. You're going to have your jobs back. You're going to have your pride back. I often joke, you'll be calling up Mike Pence. I don't know whether he's going to be your governor or your vice president. Who the hell knows? But you're going to call up, good man, But you're going to call him and you're going to either say governor or vice president. Sir, please, please speak to Mr. Trump. We're winning too much. We, the people of Indiana, cannot stand all of these victories. We can't take it. We're not used to it. Please, we're winning with our military. We're going to beat ISIS. We're winning on trade. We're winning at the border. We're stopping drugs from pouring in. We're winning on education. We're winning with our Second Amendment. Please, please, Mike, help us. We're winning too much. And Mike will come to see me. Say, Mr. President, sir, they're winning too much. The people of Indiana can't stand it. I say, Mike, go back and tell them we're not changing a damn thing. We're going to keep winning. And we're going to win at every level. And we are going to make America so great again. We're going to make America greater than ever before. I love you, Indiana. Thank you for all your help. You're really special people. Thank you.